Hi guys, and welcome back to the channel. Today we are featuring this brand new release from Fortis. This is called the Tactical Green Flieger F-39, and I think it's a bit of a looker, to be fair. It really does look quite cool. Flieger simply means pilot, so this is designated as a pilot's watch, and the F-39 is the actual case size. As I say, it is a limited edition model. There's only 100 of these pieces being available worldwide. There is a slightly larger version called the F-41, and you guessed it, yes it is 41mm, and I think they look really quite cool. It's one of those brands which I feel unfortunately doesn't get any limelight, which is a real shame because they do some really extreme stuff. Like this one's got an in-house moon. They test some of their watches right up in the stratosphere on the borders of space. And that is just simply cool. You don't get other brands doing that, which makes them just a little bit different. But before I get too far into this review, I've got to say a massive thank you to the team over at First Class Watches Kenilworth for allowing me to review this piece. Lots of cool, interesting brands like what we have here, and some you don't see very often. So if you're in the Kenilworth area, I'd recommend popping along to the shop. If you're a little bit further afield, don't worry, I'll leave a link in the description and at the bottom of the page now. All I ask is that you do mention the channel if you contact them. Now, this is where I normally talk about sizes of the watch, but I want to first of all point out the box. The box is relatively simple, but lots of people open the box and can't find the paperwork and then go, phone up or, someone's saying they're missing the paperwork. But what you do is on the Fortis side here, if you press down, your paperwork and everything is hidden in the top of the box. It's a real kind of nice, cool way of doing it, really. So do be aware of that if you were to order the watch or any other Fortis for that matter. So sizes. As mentioned, it is a 39mm case size. The thickness of a watch is coming in at 12.7mm. The lug to lug on this one is 50mm, and the strap size is actually 21mm. The dial looks kind of cool. There's, even though it's, dare I say, relatively simple, there's quite a bit of like little details which just adds up to make it look better. First of all, we have this tang of matte dial going on here. It does have printed on hour markers going around there. We do have a framed aperture for the date window. The date is also in black black background. Simple Fortis Flieger F-39 automatic. That's all cool. Once we go past that, we do have this raised chapter ring which goes on around here. Now this is actually loomed as two of the hands on here, so you get a pretty okay loom on this. And then you have these orange accents which across the top here and down here and here. They don't glow or anything. When you put it under UV light, they do stand out and look very, very cool. Overall, it's a nice dial. I quite like it. We do have a sapphire crystal. This has AR coating on both sides, and it does a very good job of cutting down reflections. As you can see, quite often you look at it and you cannot see the dial. Every so often you will catch the AR, like you can see there, the blue AR. It does look very good. They've done a very good job of that. The bezel. Now, the bezel is incredibly, it looks very slim, and some people didn't even know this is actually a rotating bezel. And as you can see, it does half clicks. Is there back play? Yeah, there is a little bit of back play, to be fair. This type of bezel is actually a GMT bezel. So it enables you to read 2 time zones. And the way it does that is basically, if you line up the bezel to the hours you want. So, if somewhere is, let's say, 2 hours ahead, then it would line up like that. And all you do then, normal time obviously is 8 minutes to 2, and your dual time here would be 8 minutes to 4 o'clock in the morning. It's a nice simple way of doing it. There's nice knurling on the side there, so you can grip it incredibly easy. One thing I would say, it could do with being a little bit stiffer. I think it is quite easy to move. Does it line up? That's a bit of a silly question. Of course it does. But overall, it looks really nice. The actual finish on this watch, it looks like a satinized finish, so a very fine brushwork and then DLC coated. Now, they say in their blurb the DLC is actually 4,500 Vickers tough. Now, that does seem an awful lot. I've not seen it like that before, so I would be intrigued to see just how tough this is, because that is an incredibly high number. But it is what it is. The actual spring bars on this, but it doesn't have spring bars. It has a proper screw which goes through both sides. So if you want to take the spring bars out, then you either need 2 screwdrivers or is one of these. And then what you do, you actually put this on the desk, you line that with the screw, and then you squeeze down. It's a little bit of a more safer way of doing this. And what I've noticed as well, these screws are actually standard steel. They've left them steel. They haven't PVD coated them, but nor have they done the actual crown. So it does all kind of work, but I'm surprised they didn't go with the full DLC coating on there. I thought they would have. With the actual action of the watch here, it is a screw down crown. It does feature 200 meters of water resistance, and it looks like it has like a plastic gasket here, or possibly. The actual gasket system, I should say, it's a triple gasket in this, so it should be really solid, even if it isn't fully screwed down. But obviously, always make sure if you're going anywhere near water that this is screwed down. It's got a nice feel to the wind. Yeah, no problem at all. Obviously, this is a hacking movement. We'll talk about more of that in a second. But yeah, really, really good. As we spin this one round, we have a really nice display case going on there. It looks superb. I like the fact that they've smoked the crystal on the back of this, and then you get to see their new Work 7 actual movement back there. It does look quite a nice movement. There's a couple of things which maybe could be a little bit better, but overall it does look good. It is owned, well, I put it on the time grapher and it was pulling +2 seconds, so it's a solid movement. It also features 24 joules, and what was I've got to try and remember the other thing now. It's got a proper balance bridge on there, which makes it a little bit more stable rather than the balance cock it's called. That's got a bridge, so it's supported on either side, and also features 70 hours of power reserve, which is quite impressive, really, especially considering it still keeps an 8 beats per second movement in there. Overall, it does look good. Only criticisms would maybe be it's only single wind. It only winds in one direction. That's why the rotor can spin so freely. And the date change on this, I thought it would be a quick date change, but as we come round, if you watch the date window there, I think you can see, well, I've got to go one more round, sorry. Here we go. It starts to change. You can see it's already activated there, almost an hour and 25 minutes before. And as you can see, it is quite a slow date change. And there it switches over. Not that there's any real problem to that, but I would have thought if you were making a new watch movement, you might have gone all out to do like ETA does, where you have an instant snap of the date. I was surprised, quite surprised with that. But overall, I love the watch. The strap on this watch got FKM rubber on the inside. It's got like almost like a sailcloth finish on the outside, and we got proper PVD treated actual hardware on there. Overall, I like it. Let me put it on the wrist so you got an idea how it looks. I should point out the price of this watch. It's before any kind of discount, £4,100. It is very much a premium product, this. Quick wrist check. I'm wearing my Fortis here, and it's actually quite interesting because my Fortis is an old 2012 model, so it's a lot older than this one, but it features an ETA movement in there. And you can see the difference, 42mm and a 39. But you can see also here, this got DLC coated. This is a PVD coated, I believe. But it's still doing quite well after all these years. And Bob has got the new Satina DS Action on there, which is quite a blingy diver really, but does look quite cool. My wrist size is 7¼ inches. That works out to around about 13.5 centimeters. Sorry, 18.5 centimeters. A little bit off there. Just put this in, and that is it on my wrist. I really like the watch, but one thing I'd point out is my wrist size isn't particularly big. But you can see I've only got like one hole left there before you run out. So I think they're aiming the 42 at anything sort of like 7¼ onwards. But I like the watch either way. Another thing I should point out as well, this watch does actually come with a 5-year warranty. So that is quite impressive. So definitely a watch I like. But what do you guys think? Is it something you would consider? Please let me know in the comments below. All the best and stay safe. Bye.